All right, good afternoon, everybody. Just so everybody knows, my name's Matthew Harris, and I'm an application engineer for precision roll grinders. What we're going to go through today is we're going to discuss why tight tolerance grinds on press rolls are critical. So we'll get a little bit into exactly what PRG does differently compared to traditional grinding methods. We'll see what we can do to benefit a paper machine, and we'll actually discuss a couple of different case studies that we have performed on the press section with some of our customers. All right, so what is important about the press roll shape? With a precision ground roll, you're reducing and you're eliminating moisture streaks that are going into the dryer section. So with a more traditional grind, you're going to have higher variation going across the entire face of the roll. The goal with a tight tolerance grind is to make that more uniform. Let's see, got a hand raised. I think we're okay. All right, so the benefit of a precision ground roll is to reduce that moisture variation. By eliminating all of that, you're going to have a more uniform moisture profile across your face, allowing you to increase different aspects of production. So traditionally, what you're going to see is, if you're aiming for a target of 7% moisture variation, well, what you're going to be seeing happening is you're going to be varying between 6 and 7% variation throughout the entire face of the roll. That's due to concentricity being off, variation in TIR across the roll. And by increasing the tolerance on that, you're actually able to have a tighter variation across the roll. So that'll allow you to increase your production. It could reduce in dryer savings, it could increase machine speed, but it gives you the option to have a, let's see. Oh. I'm sorry about that. All right, let's get that working again. All right, so the idea is the reduction or elimination of moisture streaks. So you'll have your variations floating between 6 and 7%, but by increasing the tolerance of your roll, you're actually reducing that variation between your moisture profile across the entire face of your roll, as well as in the machine direction of your roll. So here's actually what you can see when it comes to a crown that we've seen before the grind profile. So you'll have off variation from your actual target, but with a PRG ground roll, you're getting that exact profile that you're expecting to see when you have your crown ground into your press rolls. So here's an example of a smart roll cover where we've seen what it looks like in the machine direction before a PRG ground roll. So in the lighter blue areas, what you're experiencing is you're getting less PLI across your roll face, but once it's ground and to a tight tolerance, you get a perfectly uniform nip across the face of your roll. So you're getting more water taken out of your product and allowing you to control it that much better. So here's an example of the benefits that you can see from having a tighter tolerance in the press section. So your variation before a 2/10 grind is about 6.2 for your moisture profile. Once you hit that target of 7% and you have a tight tolerance grind, you're getting an additional 25 feet per second. Now that's only a 1% gain in machine speed, but that actually leads over time to over $1 million per year in additional product that's produced. So the tightest improvement can create the biggest savings and revenue for a company. So if you look at some of the grind reports that we produce, when you see a roll that's ground in bearings, the one on the left is typically what we're going to see when it comes to the TIR. So you're not getting that perfectly round roll that you're hoping to get. It's going to lead to machine direction variation. It's going to lead to higher variability in moisture in your press section. Whereas with a precision ground roll, you're getting that perfectly round roll. So what's the difference between what we do compared to what traditional grind shops do? So at a traditional grind shop, what you're going to see is the roll is going to be moving while it's grinding. So once you have if you're grinding in bearings and housings, you've still got the float that's occurring between the bearing and the float for the housing itself. So you're not actually reaching the tightest tolerance qualities that you can receive. You're not receiving true concentricity as we saw in the last image. You're getting off a little bit of an off-chip of a product. It's not actually attainable to reach the roundness that we can when grinding in bearings and housings. So when you receive a roll grind from us, you're getting a multitude of things. You're going to have a bearing inspection. So when we receive the rolls, we actually take the bearings and housings off and we inspect them to see if they're reusable. If not, we'll have a discussion with you to see what course of action we want to take, because we want you to have the best quality roll when you receive it again. We can NDT test all your rolls, depending on specific tests that you want to take. And if needed, we can remove housings and bearings and replace them as needed. So with a precision ground roll, I mean, there's plenty of other services that we do. So we'll rebuild vacuum boxes, seals, and showers. We do thorough inspections of the journals, the bearings, the housings again, and we properly assemble everything so that way when you receive the rolls, they're good to go and ready to install whenever you need. So the benefits of having a tight tolerance grind are with the tighter that you're able to grind your rolls, the longer your rolls are going to last. So if you grind a roll up to 8/10, it's still good quality grind, but it's going to wear faster. If you start with a 2/10 grind that you receive from us, not only does it last longer, but by running longer in between grinds, it's also saving you on copper cost. All right, so we're going to go through a couple of the case studies that we've seen between the difference of before and after grinds from PRG. So prior to us servicing this customer's rolls at a paper facility, they were having issues with moisture variation. Their press rolls weren't running very long, and they decided, well, we're having our rolls ground through the calendar stack with PRG. Let's see what kind of improvements that's going to make with the press section. So once we installed them, we weren't sure exactly. We know that there's going to be an improvement in the system, but exactly how much are you going to see in a reduction of variation? So the study that we performed with the customer led to actually a 17% reduction in moisture variation. Now, there's a couple of angles that the customer can save from here, but immediately by having the reduction in moisture that's going into the dryer section, they're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars just in dryer savings alone. It can lead to additional improvements if they want to increase machine speed also. So the customer was very happy to see that these improvements, and I mean, they're continuing to use our grinds to this day. So here we've got another example of a customer that we had smoothing press grinds with. So when you see a smoothing press initially, and you're ready to take the rolls out of the machine, and you've got them sitting on the floor, all that you see is dollar signs. It's going to cost money to get these things replaced, to get them ground, to have maintenance take them out, to have freight take them away. But in the moment, the grind is really like going to be the highest level of cost, because I mean, if you get a roll ground, going to take time. But if you look at additional issues that this customer is having, so for the smoothing press specifically, they were having picking issues. So the picking issues were pieces of their product were coming out into the face of the roll. I mean, that could be any type of quality issues. So it could be wasted paper, it could be moisture variation, so you have to add fiber to the system. But in the end, looking at it from an annual cost, the customer was actually, instead of seeing 80% of the cost being the grind, over 60% of the servicing cost was specifically from all other services. So picking, having to pay for freight for multiple grinds. I mean, this customer was having their rolls taken out every 3 months. So having to do that 4 times a year gets really expensive. So what we ended up doing once we installed those rolls was seeing, okay, well, what improvements did we see? So some of the significant ones were picking entirely went away. By eliminating picking, I mean, that's immediately saving the customer $20,000 a year just in those costs. You're saving in cover replacements. So by going from 3 grinds or 4 grinds a year, this customer went to essentially 1. So just by saving on maintenance, by saving on freight, and by having to grind less, the cover lasts longer. So this customer ended up seeing just $50,000 a year in savings just on these alone. And they can sleep at night knowing that they're not going to have issues with the press section. So with these studies, these are kind of a benefit that we see for both us and the customer. So if we work with you, it helps us understand your systems better, and it helps us document that we're showing improvements to your systems. So at PRG, we're committed to helping anybody when it comes to improvements in their paper machines. So we want to be able to help troubleshoot with any rotational equipment. We'll perform data analysis for your facilities, and we'll work with you and your process engineers or anybody at your facility to help improve your systems as a whole. All right, are there any questions I can answer? So one of the questions I have are there any more documented cases similar to this that you could forward to a customer? And the answer is yes. So we have, if you reach out to us, we can discuss other cases where we've had data analysis that we perform with customers. And if you have additional interest, we can come in and see if there's a design of experiments that we could put together with you. All right. Let's see if there aren't any more questions. Thank you for attending. And if there's any questions that you have, reach out to any of the shops. So we have 4 facilities across North America: Allentown, Pennsylvania; Carrollton, Georgia; Lewisport, Kentucky; and Texarkana, Arkansas. So you can just reach out from there, or you can contact us directly on our website, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thank you for your time for attending. And again, if there's any questions that you have or anything you'd like to discuss, just let us know.